The village was still asleep. No drums, no voices, no footsteps, only the sound of wind moving through wet grass. A lone man stood outside a small wooden house. He did not rush. He did not look at the sky to guess the time. He already knew. His body had learned the hour. Every morning, long before the sun appeared, he stepped outside in silence. This was not pride. This was discipline. People in the village thought samurai were born strong. They believed warriors woke with courage already inside them. But this man knew the truth. Strength did not begin in battle. It began in the dark, when no one was watching. He washed his face with cold water. The shock made his eyes open fully. He welcomed it. Cold water reminded him that comfort was not a friend. Comfort made men weak. Discipline made them steady. This was the first samurai discipline. Discipline 1. Master the morning. Every great warrior he had studied followed the same rule: win the morning or lose a day. The man tied his hair the same way every morning. One slow knot. Nothing fancy. The habit was simple, but it trained his mind. When life felt chaotic, this small act brought order. He swept the ground outside his home, even though it would get dirty again by noon. People once laughed at him for this. Why clean what will become dirty again? They asked. He never answered, because the lesson was not about the ground. It was about the mind. By doing small tasks with full focus, he trained himself to act with care. Battles were decided by details. A loose grip, a rushed step, a wandering thought. Morning discipline sharpened his attention before danger arrived. As the sky slowly turned gray, he sat down and closed his eyes. No noise, no movement, only breath. Discipline 2. Control the breath, control the fear. Fear was a true enemy. Not the sword, not the man holding it. Fear entered first. It made hands shake. It made vision narrow. It made men forget everything they trained for. The samurai learned this early. So every morning, he practiced breathing. Slow breath in through the nose. Hold. Slow breath out through the mouth. Again and again. When thoughts rushed in, he did not fight them. He returned to the breath. When fear appeared in his mind, he watched it like a cloud passing by. This was not meditation for peace. This was training for war. One day, years earlier, he had faced an opponent stronger than him. His sword skills were ready, but fear struck first. His breath became short. His arms felt heavy. He barely survived. That day taught him a hard lesson. A man who cannot control his breath cannot control his actions. So now, every morning, he trained his breath before training his body. Breath was the bridge between mind and body. Control the breath. Slow the heart. Clear the mind. The test of discipline. As the sun finally appeared, footsteps echoed from the road. A messenger arrived. The man opened his eyes calmly. The messenger spoke fast. There was trouble. A rival group had entered nearby land. Tension was rising. A fight could happen at any moment. Other men would panic. Other men would grab weapons and shout orders. But this man stood quietly. He took one deep breath. Slow in. Slow out. The training worked. Fear knocked, but it was not allowed inside. He nodded to the messenger and prepared to leave. Before stepping away, he looked once more at the clean ground he had swept earlier. It was already marked with footprints and date. He smiled. Discipline did not mean controlling the world. It meant controlling himself. Why they never wanted you to learn this. Many leaders do not want disciplined people. A disciplined person cannot be easily controlled. He does not panic. He does not rush. He does not follow noise. That is why these lessons were hidden. They sound simple. Wake early. Breathe slowly. But simple habits, repeated daily, create dangerous men, not loud men, but calm ones. Men who think clearly when others lose control. The samurai understood this long before the modern world forgot it. Power did not begin with force. It began with self-control. The sun was higher now. Light filled the road, removing the comfort of shadows. In the dark, a man could hide his thoughts. In the light, everything followed him. The samurai walked alone. His steps were calm, but his mind was not completely quiet. The message from the village still echoed in his head. A rival group had crossed into nearby land. This was not new, But something felt different this time. Fear moved softly inside him. Not loud, not wild, quiet and patient. Most men believed fear came from weakness. The samurai knew better. Fear came from caring about survival. It was natural, but the problem was never fear itself. The problem was running from it. This led to the third discipline. Discipline 3. Face the shadow. The samurai stopped near a river. The water moved fast, hitting stones without resistance. He watched it for a long time. Then he sat down. Instead of pushing fear away, he invited it closer. He asked himself a question most men avoid. What am I afraid of right now? The answer came slowly. He feared failing. He feared making the wrong move. He feared surviving the fight but losing his purpose. These thoughts were heavy, but he did not turn away. This was facing the shadow. Many people distract themselves when fear appears. They joke. They scroll. They fight others. Anything to avoid sitting with uncomfortable thoughts. The samurai did the opposite. He named each fear clearly. Once named, the fear lost power. It was no longer a monster in the dark. It was a shape he could see. He reminded himself of a rule written by old masters. A fear seen in daylight shrinks. By facing the shadow early, fear could not attack him later during battle. This discipline made him dangerous, not because he had no fear, but because fear no longer controlled him. A memory of failure. As he sat by the river, a memory returned. Years ago, he had avoided fear. He had ignored signs of doubt before a duel. He told himself confidence was enough. It was not. His opponent had been faster. The fight ended quickly. The pain stayed much longer. That loss had burned one lesson into his bones. Ignoring fear does not make it disappear. It makes it strike at the worst moment. Since that day, he never ran from the shadow. Discipline 4. The quiet eye. The samurai stood and continued walking. Soon, he reached the edge of a market road. People moved everywhere. Voices mixed together. Animals pulled carts. Children ran without looking. Chaos. This place tested the fourth discipline. While others saw noise, the samurai searched for patterns. He softened his gaze. He did not stay. He did not rush. He watched. This was called the quiet eye. The quiet eye meant seeing without panic. It meant allowing the world to slow down instead of trying to control it. Suddenly, he noticed something wrong. A man moved against the flow of people. His hand stayed too close to his chest. His eyes watched bags, not faces. A thief. Before the thief could act, someone screamed. Panic spread. People pushed each other. Voices rose. Fear jumped from person to person. But the samurai remained still. He focused on one thing only, movement. He saw the opening before anyone else did. One step to the side. One controlled movement. He grabbed the thief's wrist gently, not with anger, but with precision. The thief froze. No punch. No shout. Just control. Why calm men win? The crowd stared. They expected violence. Instead, they saw silence. The samurai released the thief and stepped back. Others rushed in to handle the situation. He did not wait for praise. He left, because the lesson was never about stopping the thief. It was about mastering attention under pressure. The quiet eye allowed him to see clearly when others lost control. In battle, this discipline decided life and death. Most people see what they expect. The samurai saw what was real. The hidden truth. Powerful systems do not want calm thinkers. They prefer emotional reactions. Quick anger. Fast fear. A calm mind cannot be easily pushed. That is why these disciplines were rarely taught openly. Facing fear makes men independent. The quiet eye makes them hard to deceive. Together, they form a dangerous combination. The rain came without warning. Heavy drops struck the road, turning dust into mud. Most travelers stopped and looked for shelter. The samurai did not. He pulled his cloak tighter and kept walking. This was not stubbornness. This was training. Many men were brave when conditions were good. Few remained steady when comfort disappeared. The samurai knew the true test of discipline came when life became uncomfortable. This led to the fifth discipline. Discipline 5. Cut the noise. The road ahead was long and empty. No voices. No praise. No signs of progress. Silence. At first, silence felt peaceful. Then it became heavy. Without noise, thoughts grew louder. Doubt began to speak. Why continue? Who is watching? What is the reward? Most men quit here. They needed applause. They needed signs. They needed someone to say, "You are doing well." The samurai had learned to cut the noise. Noise was not only sound. Noise was unnecessary talk. Noise was distraction. Noise was seeking approval. He owned very little. One blade, one bowl, one cloak. Fewer things meant fewer worries. When the mind was not crowded, it could focus. Many rulers feared this discipline. A man who cuts noise cannot be easily controlled. He does not chase trends. He does not follow every voice. He listens only to what matters. Rain washed the road clean as he walked. Silence sharpened him. The weight of loneliness. As night approached, cold settled into his bones. Loneliness appeared. This loneliness was dangerous. It made men talk too much, drink too much, or attach themselves to weak leaders. The samurai faced it without escape. He understood something most people never learn. Loneliness is a training ground. If a man cannot stand his own company, he will accept any company, even harmful ones. So the samurai learned to sit with silence and remain whole. Discipline 6. Walk through pain. The path turned steep. Mud clung to his sandals. His legs burned. Each step demanded effort. Pain rose slowly, then loudly. This was the 6th discipline. Most people stop when pain begins. They think pain is a signal to quit. The samurai learned pain was a signal to slow down, not stop. He adjusted his breath. Slow in, slow out. Pain tested patience. His muscles screamed. His back ached. His feet slipped. But he kept moving forward, step by step. Pain was not an enemy. Pain was information. It taught limits. It taught respect for the body. It taught humility. The samurai did not fight pain. He walked through it. A lesson from the past. Years earlier, he had tried to prove strength by ignoring pain. He trained too hard. He pushed too far. His body failed him when he needed it most. That failure taught him wisdom. Endurance is not about suffering loudly. It is about lasting quietly. Now, he moved with care. When pain increased, he slowed. When strength returned, he continued. This discipline separated warriors from fools. Why this discipline is hidden? Society praises comfort, quick results, easy success, fast pleasure. But comfort weakens the spirit. The samurai disciplines train men to live without constant reward, to work without being seen, to endure without complaint. These men were dangerous to systems built on distraction. A man who can endure pain in silence does not beg. He does not panic. He does not break easily. That is why this discipline was buried. The storm test. The storm worsened. Wind howled through the trees. Rain struck like needles. The path disappeared. The samurai stopped. He could turn back. No one would know. But he remembered the rule. A path is proven when it is hardest to walk. He stepped forward. One step. Then another. His body screamed, but his mind stayed clear. When he finally reached shelter, he did not celebrate. He removed his wet cloak and sat quietly. No pride, no relief, only calm. The night was quiet. No wind, no birds, just a soft hum of insects in the dark. The samurai sat near a small fire, his cloak still damp from yesterday's storm. The warmth was soft, but he did not relax. There was work to be done, the kind no one could see. This was the time of truth. Discipline 7, the mirror of truth. He held a small wooden mirror in his hands. It reflected his face, pale from the storm, wet hair plastered to his head. The first look brought no pride, no anger, just observation. He asked himself simple questions. Where did I fail today? Did I act honestly? Did I betray my own rules? Most men avoid this mirror. They lie to themselves. They cover mistakes with excuses or distraction. But the samurai stared anyway. He knew the danger of dishonesty, not in battle, but in life. A small lie repeated becomes a chain. It bends the soul. The mirror showed him every weak link. He wrote notes in his journal. Simple words. No flourishes. No hidden meanings. Each note was honest, even if it hurt. At the end of the night, he burned the pages. The fire consumed the paper, but not the lesson. The truth remained inside him, like a seed ready to grow. The mirror of truth was harsh. It demanded honesty, but honesty made him stronger than any sword. Discipline 8. Bend like bamboo. Dawn came slowly. Mist rolled through the trees. The samurai rose and faced his path again. Today, he expected conflict. Not from others, from circumstances. Life rarely bends for men. Men must bend to life. He walked carefully, aware of the ground, the wind, and the shapes in the mist. His body moved with flexibility. Bamboo bends in the storm. It does not resist the wind. It survives because it adapts. The samurai had learned this in years of failure. In battle, he could not always win by force. Sometimes he had to yield, step aside, retreat, wait. He remembered a duel long ago. He had tried to force a strike too early. His opponent countered. The lesson was painful but clear. Rigidity breaks. Flexibility survives. Now, when he faced challenges, whether rain, rival warriors, or sudden obstacles, he adapted. He moved with the world instead of against it. Bending like bamboo did not mean weakness. It meant intelligence. It meant foresight. The hidden danger. Most men do not see this discipline as power. They see it as surrender. But the samurai knew better. Rigid men break. Flexible men survive. And survival is the first step to mastery. The mirror teaches truth. The bamboo teaches strategy. Together, they prepare a man for challenges beyond strength, beyond courage, beyond endurance. Many warriors fail here. They cannot face themselves, or they cannot adapt to the world. The samurai had learned both. A test in silence. That afternoon, he reached a small village. People were busy with chores. Children ran between the houses. He could have asked for shelter, food, or guidance. Instead, he observed. A man argued with a merchant. A small insult escalated. Others rushed to pick sides. The samurai did nothing at first. He remembered the bamboo. He waited. He bent. When the argument peaked, he stepped in, quietly, calmly. One measured word, one controlled gesture. The dispute ended without force. The villagers were amazed. He had done nothing violent, yet he had solved the problem. This was power few understand. Power without noise. Lessons the world hides. These two disciplines, truth and flexibility, were dangerous to those who want control over men. Honest men cannot be manipulated easily. Flexible men cannot be trapped. Rulers, teachers, even warriors sometimes fear these skills. A man who can see clearly, admit his mistakes, and bend without breaking cannot be ordered around. The samurai learned to walk carefully. He used the mirror to reflect on himself, the bamboo to adjust to the world. He knew when to act, when to wait, and when to avoid unnecessary conflict. Most men fail because they fear discomfort. They want praise. They want certainty. They fight when they should bend, and they lie when they should face the mirror. The first light of dawn touched the mountain tops. The samurai stood on a small ridge, looking down at the village below. The wind was cold but steady. He could have rested. He had survived storms, pain, fear, and doubt. He had mastered his breath, his focus, his mind. But the final lessons waited. The scroll in his hands whispered the last secrets. This was the time of true mastery. Discipline 9. Keep the ledger. The samurai pulled out a small leather notebook. It was worn from years of use, but each page held weight. He opened it. Each line marked a promise kept. Small victories. Simple actions done daily. He had cleaned his sword without complaint. He had controlled his breath when fear struck. He had faced the shadow in himself and stayed calm. Each mark was a seed. Over time, these small seeds grew into a strong tree of discipline. He wrote one more line. I acted with purpose today. Most people ignore the ledger. They forget small actions. They wait for dramatic victories. But the samurai knew this truth. Greatness is built quietly, step by step, day by day. The ledger does not reward instantly. It only shows results over time. And when the results come, they are unshakable. This discipline taught patience, honesty, and self-accountability. Discipline 10. Serve first. The last line of the scroll read simply, Power without service is empty. The samurai remembered a child in the village who had fallen sick. He remembered a farmer struggling to carry water. He remembered travelers lost in the storm. Before he acted for himself, he acted for others. He handed food to the hungry, shared warmth with the cold, and guided those who could not find their way. This was not charity. This was discipline. A man who serves first does not weaken himself. He strengthens his purpose. He trains his heart, and his strength becomes useful, not destructive. Service taught humility. Service taught connection. Service gave meaning to all the other disciplines he had learned. The full circle of the 10 disciplines. The samurai looked back over the years. The morning rituals. The controlled breaths. Facing fear. Watching quietly. Enduring pain. The mirror. The bamboo. And now, the ledger and service. Each discipline alone was powerful. Together, they formed a life no one could easily break. He realized that these teachings were dangerous not because they taught violence, but because they taught freedom. A man disciplined in body, mind, and spirit cannot be controlled. He acts with clarity. He bends when necessary. He endures when others quit. He serves when others demand. These 10 disciplines were hidden from most people because they create men who do not follow blind rules. They create people who master themselves first. A quiet celebration. The samurai folded the scroll and placed it in his satchel. He did not boast. He did not shout. The power of these disciplines was not in display. It was in practice. He took one last look at the village below. Life moved, as it always did. People laughed, shouted, and argued. He smiled, not because he was better than them, not because he had won battles, but because he had learned to live fully, calmly, and purposefully. Lesson for anyone who follows. The samurai's journey was extreme, but the lessons were simple. When the morning, small routines shape your mind. Control your breath. Calm body, calm mind. Face your fear. Fear named loses power. Use a quiet eye. Focus under pressure wins battles. Cut the noise. Simplicity strengthens clarity. Walk through pain. Endurance creates unshakable will. Mirror your truth. Honesty builds integrity. Bend like bamboo. Flexibility ensures survival. Keep the ledger. Small, consistent actions build mastery. Serve first. True strength uplifts others. These rules could be applied by anyone willing to commit, not just warriors. The final image. The samurai walked toward the river, the sun rising behind him. He knelt and let the scroll float on the water. The red string kept it together as it drifted. The current carried it gently. Some letters were washed away. Others remained. He smiled. The scroll's purpose was complete. The lessons were now in him, not the paper. A life built with discipline cannot be erased. He stood, took a deep breath, and began walking again, not because he had to, but because the path of mastery never ends. Closing thought for YouTube CTA. The 10 disciplines were not secrets of swords or battles. They were the rules of life. Any viewer could start today. Pick one discipline. Practice it for 1 week. Notice the difference. Comment below which discipline you will start with. Like, share, and subscribe for the next video where we show 3 daily practices to lock in the first 2 disciplines. The journey begins with 1 step, and the samurai knew that every step matters. End of story.